ever thought that there was a better way to educate children than the traditional methods? Then listen into today's podcast episode. I'm here with my good friend, Travis Lish, who is the creator of the Startup Academy. He's going to share today how to set up your children and other families' children up for future success by participating in his 3-month creativity clubs. Plus, if you have families that you already teach, guess what? You can offer the creativity clubs to them so they can sign up their children, and you can make 35% commission on every single sale. Now, I was so excited when you told me about that. So first off, welcome to the podcast, Travis.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Genuinely, I love seeing the comments floating in. Joy, it's such a joy to be with you. Seriously, it's so exciting.
Well, start us off. Where in the world did this come from? I mean, you have a heart of passion about education and doing things different. Where did this start from?
So it all started, it's interesting because I'm not a dad myself. And so it's interesting because sometimes people learn that and they're like, what? Like, how are you passionate about helping kids? It doesn't quite add up sometimes. But when I was just in the 3rd grade, one of my very best friends made some choices that put him on a really different path than me. And as the years went by, I started to notice and get bothered by the fact that the choices of a 10-year-old can impact the rest of their lives. And so I was in college at the time, and that set me on this mission to figure out, like, okay, well, how do we help young kids start to think in a certain way and start to act in a certain way so they can make choices that set them on a path they want to be on and ultimately create the life they want to live. And so I ended up going to graduate school trying to figure out and answer this question. I too have worked in public schools. I've worked with charter schools. I've worked with homeschool moms. I've worked with unschoolers, really across the board, trying to figure out how can we best help families and primarily kids to develop the skills and attributes to create value in the world. And that's really where the passion comes from. And so just over the last few years, I've been able to help hundreds of families really to dive into this creative process. And from there to start businesses as well, and really just blow up this creative capacity that they have.
And that's awesome. And I think it's what's so important is as we have this conversation, it is really important for everybody to know that whatever you're doing currently in your family, do what works for you. Like, we are not here to say that this is the right method or this is the right method or don't do that. I hate doing that because guess what? I've done all of them and there was a reason for each one of them at a certain time. But I think we all can agree that whatever we're currently doing, we would possibly like some different results. Like maybe there are things that it's not vibing, right? Even if we're doing homeschooling, maybe we are struggling with just like there's no schedule anymore, right? There's no schedule. There's no like, well, what is a day look like? Maybe that's good for some families. Maybe it doesn't work for some others. Public school, what are they being, around? There's a lot of pros and cons with each one of them. So we are not saying either here or there for any of them. But you made a certain comment. I really love this. Earlier that I was listening to you, you made this comment about public schools and how they were designed in the first place. So talk to us about that. Like, there is a certain method to the public schools. And there's sometimes, I mean, gosh, I have a kiddo myself who is both special needs and is both gifted. And you can't even imagine the struggles that would be in a public school environment.
Yeah.
So tell me, how are public schools typically, they put out kids in a certain way and children succeed in a certain way because of them?
Absolutely. And so before I even jump in, I'll say myself, I was a product of the public school. And so I'll be a little bit harsh on public schooling sometimes, but I am a product of the public schooling. And I think if that's the choice that your family makes, that's okay too. But a lot of times you'll hear people say like, oh, the education system is broken or public schooling is broken. Interestingly enough, though, the public school system, where our modern system comes from, is it was, I believe it was Prussia a few hundred years ago. And it was during a war and their soldiers weren't doing a good enough job at obeying orders. And so they needed a system that would help people become manufacturing assembly line workers and great soldiers, essentially people who didn't think for themselves, but just obeyed orders and did what they were told. And so this is really efficient for for, what it was designed to do. It's really efficient to create people who go and do what they were told, not for innovators and creators that we need so desperately in 21st century. And so it's so interesting to look back at the history and recognize that that's where the system originated, and that it really hasn't changed all that much since then.
Totally. And I think as everybody says, let's make sure that, because guess what? We've all been there in public school at some point, most of us. And so we're not dogging the public school at all, but we're saying, how can we do things differently? If our kiddos are in public school, what can we add into their life that can spark that creativity, that can spark the joy in them, the passion, the purpose, right? To do something a little bit differently. Here's what I'd love to do in the comments right now. Can you let me know what your biggest pain point is right now with your kids' education? Maybe you have preschoolers, maybe you have elementary, high schoolers, college, whatever it is. What is your biggest pain point, though, with your kiddos' education right now? I mean, it doesn't matter where they're at. There's a pain point somewhere. I've had pain points in every single one of these. And I wonder sometimes if I kind of jump ship here and there just trying to solve a pain point,
Yes. I cannot wait to see the comments roll in. I sit on the board of directors at a charter school, and today I was spending time in a private school, and it's so fascinating how different the pain points are actually for each audience and what people are experiencing. And so yeah, I can't wait to see what people start to put in here, because I know they're super diverse.
Totally. I think too, with my kiddos, with the public school, sometimes I wonder, like, what are they being influenced by? How do we help a very neurodivergent child succeed in a public school where they're very neurotypical structures? How do we help my daughter, who was in public school as well, who is a overachiever, and she goes for those A's, and then when she doesn't hit them, it is the world is over, and she has so much anxiety inside of her about these grades, right? So that you got that. And then I've also got the kiddo that, if I'm doing homeschool, and we don't have a structured day, which I love, he goes unwired. Like, he just can't deal with it. Right. I got the kiddo who can't sit in a chair. Right. And so I don't even have room enough to show you how he would learn at this. His legs would be up here and his head would be down here. And so regardless of what we do, there's always, like, I don't know that I've ever found the perfect solution. I think we can get close, something close that would get close to our heart, but finding a perfect one is difficult. And this is what I love, that we're going to talk about the creativity clubs in just a minute, is how it adds into what we're already doing so much goodness. And I feel like it kind of, like, it makes up for all, like, the cons. You know what I mean? It kind of just, like, whatever we're doing, it was pretty good, but, like, oh man, with this. So let's go look at some of the concerns that we had. I'm going to put them up here so everybody can see. All right. As we go down here, let's see, trying to find them. Sorry. There we go. Okay. So we had it from Heather, right? Disrespect for authority. I've seen that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Someone else mentioned the bullying. Oh gosh. Yes. I mean,
so tough.
Truth be told, I was bullied in, I believe it was 7th grade, and never returned. Right. I did things differently. Yeah. I left and never went back to public school.
Yeah, there's a few bullying comments in here.
Yeah, right. Not accommodating my kids' disabilities, 100%, right? They have no patience to learn from me. That is true. Yes. Even every side, there's always these pros and cons that we're hoping for. How can we fix these things, right? It doesn't work for kids with anxiety. Fighting, yes. The kiddo already knows it all. And then what do you do with them, right? 100%. My oldest is about to go into kinder. I know he will not thrive in public school because we think he has ADHD. My son does as well. I've been a public school teacher. My husband doesn't want me to homeschool. So then how do we navigate the parent relationship between one wanting this and the other wanting this, right? 2.5-year-old making a decision for which way to go, right? Leaning more and more towards homeschool. Lack of social interaction, especially even public school nowadays. Sometimes we're home with virtual, aren't we? Behaviors. Pain point is what influences them. Yeah. I want kids to stop saying that they don't like school. You want that love of learning back, right? Yes. You want high schoolers to graduate. Absolutely. What they teach them and your inability to control what is taught, right? Lots of bullying, lack of empathy, communication. The fact my older kids' teachers are more worried about him staying with his friends and less about learning the foundational requirements.
Mm.
No communication. They make you feel like a child is just a dollar sign, pushing one narrative, all around bad company, no focus. Tatiana, thank you for putting your name. My kids don't have the patience to learn from mom. They show more grace to teachers online, relationships between staff and students. So many. My gosh. I mean, we could go on and on and on. I like this one too. My pain point is teachers putting every kid in the same learning curve. Yes.
Amen.
Right. Because and that's just it is just the system, right? And that's okay. I love that you also had mentioned earlier that I was listening to you. You had said there are educators in every one of those disciplines, unschooling and homeschooling and private and public and charter. There are educators in every one of those trying to create beautiful, beautiful situations for their students and their children.
Oh, I
And
believe that so deeply.
yeah,
Yeah, I believe it so deeply that if we talk about sort of the shortcomings of one model or another, I never want to turn a parent or a teacher into the villain, because those are the people who are exerting their time and their energy to try and impact lives of young people. So all I would ever want to do for them is applaud them, because it's such a noble and a beautiful profession that they're pursuing. And so yeah, the flaws come with the system and the metrics and the processes, a lot less with the people who are trying to make a difference.
totally. So let's talk a little bit about when families come to you. We talked, I'm sure those they have similar pain points, right?
Yeah.
What are they hoping for their children? What are they hoping for their students and their families and things? What is their outcome that they really are looking for?
Yeah. And so something, and it's really awesome to look at these comments, because really what we see most of all is that most systems, or most parents, I should say, most parents are just tired of feeling like the school wants to put their kid into a cookie cutter mold, right? Where we understand that it's not a one size fits all type of operation. And I love that you've talked so much about that tonight, Joy, that they want their child to be treated like a unique individual, like they are. And so something that we believe so deeply in is if that you have a child with ADHD who has so much energy. I've worked with a lot of those kids, and it's so fascinating because when you allow them to think about and to concentrate on things that they care deeply about, their energy is actually channeled to something, right? Where when they're told to put their energy something they don't care about. I was actually talking with my wife, Catherine, today about that, where I was observing this boy at this private school, and it's almost like those children's toys where you have like the square toy that fits in the square hole and the circle and the circle. Sending him to school is almost like he's a circle knob trying to fit in the square one. And
Mhm.
like he's getting the life like pressed out of him, but he just can't fit through the hole. And so it's crazy. So I hear from parents all the time who are struggling with that, or if there's special needs. And so children are anxious and overwhelmed with the expectations. Then what we need, right, is a path that's more flexible for them to be able to wander and meander in. And so that's the biggest thing that we hear. And our outcome would say, if you give your kids the structure to be able to set goals, to make plans and act on those plans, but along with enough freedom that they can go at their own pace as fast or as slow as they want, then we're going to help them find purpose and joy. And we're going to help them really ultimately create value for themselves, for your families, and for the world.
And I think like at the end of the day, every mom just wants their kid to be a productive member of society and loving their life, right? Like we didn't just raise them for 18 years to just throw their life away. We gave all this
Right.
education and love into them. Unfortunately, sometimes they end up in college where they don't know what to do, or they don't go to college, they don't know what to do. They finish college, they don't know what to do. And it's
Yes.
like, what if we started earlier, right? What if we
Right.
started way earlier?
Yeah. Can I tell you a few statistics that are
Yeah,
just
totally.
crazy? Okay. So it's fascinating, but we, just like you were saying, Joy, we put kids through 12 years of education. We send them off to college, and all of this is supposed to help them figure out what they're doing with their lives. 44% of college graduates, so this is 20 something year olds, 44% state that they have no idea what they want to do with their career. And
Right.
so all of a sudden it's like we have put them through 16 years of this system that's supposed to help them find a purpose and a direction in their lives. And I mean, that's a huge number. Another staggering number is that only 13% of our workforce considers themselves passionate about their role and their job.
Oh,
And
I'd
so
say it's even lower than that, but it could be 13%.
it might be depending on the study, right? So
Right.
I think if we look to the future and we look at 20, 30, and 40-year-olds who
Mm,
don't know what they want to do with their life still, and they aren't passionate about their education. I mean, the statistics are staggering. And so, yeah, I think you're right. I think we need to turn back the clock and say, how can we start to help our kids see the world differently?
mhm.
So that when they're 20, 30, 40 something year olds, they know how to make choices that will lead to purpose in their lives.
Absolutely. Different actions create different results. Like, I am a firm believer in that. Like, I left public school at 7th grade. I went into some, I don't even know what to call it. It was a couple families getting together in a building and kind of floundered in that. Like, oh, I'm supposed to take care of myself with my education. Then all of a sudden I was like, this is stupid. And I was 16 and I said, I don't want to do this anymore. Actually, I was 15 at the time. And I said, I want to be an adult. I want to grow up. I want to go to college. So I got my GED. Went to college at
Incredible.
16, graduated with my bachelor's by 19. Like, do things different, get different results. And it's not about like I wasn't smarter. I just realized I didn't need 4 years of high school, right?
Absolutely. And the crazy, first of all, Joy, that's so awesome. Congratulations. That is so cool. I was talking with a 15-year-old today, and I was telling her that that option was real for her. Like, you can just bypass this whole thing if
Yep.
you want to. The world is yours, you know?
Mhm.
And I think that I tell this to parents all the time. I think that 10, 15 years from now, we will have to, or our kids will have to justify their decision to go to college. Where
Yes.
right now you have to justify your decision to not go to college.
Right.
But kids are going to start learning more and more at a younger age, and college is going to start becoming less relevant because all employers care about is, can you create value with me?
Yep.
And if you
And
can
can you
create value,
problem solve?
can you
Like, can
problem
you,
solve?
yeah,
Yeah, can you innovate? Can you be creative?
right.
And so if our kids can be innovative and problem solvers and create value at 17, better than a 25-year-old college grad, they're going to get the job.
Yeah. But there's a process to it. I mean, that's the thing, is that if you never teach your kiddo that you can do things differently, if you never introduce these different views or ideas into them, unfortunately, they're going to keep going down that path, which is just the typical path, right? So, how, as parents, and also we have a lot of people who are with us right now, they're also preschool teachers, preschool owners, private school owners. How can we instill, like, what do we do to bring into their world these opportunities to change their mind? I mean, I've got my daughter. I'd like to say I'm a good person that changed minds. You know, I got my daughter who, pardon me, created that website for $1,500. She was 10 years old, got her dog.
So
I have my son who's 9 years old. He's a WordPress editor, but you got to instill this in your kiddos early. Any time is better than no time. How do we, with your programs, like, how do we instill this in our kids? Because a lot of times, like, I'm left for like, well, what's next? What do I do? And people just wonder, like, is there a path? Is there a plan? Is there something I could just plug into? Because I don't want to create it all on my own.
yeah, absolutely. And before I lay out the plan, I just want to briefly state the alternative. And so
Ah,
in so many of our lives, right? I'm a product of the school system, and Joy, you talked about what it feels like to be so connected to that A plus that like gives us so much anxiety. The current metric that's used in most of our education is the grading system, and that
yep.
results in one of just a few ways. And so one is that we become really attached to the grades, and these are our overachievers that get all A pluses. And if they get a B, it's like there's a chink in their self-esteem and their
Mhm.
ego, and it's difficult for them, right? On the
Can you
other
say
end of
that
it,
again? I don't think people realize the grade literally is connected to their self-esteem.
yeah,
That's really harsh.
it's so harsh, right? And so we begin, and I remember I had a friend who he got a 18 on the ACT, which isn't a great score, right?
Yeah.
But the fact that like he was legitimately depressed, right?
Right.
Because his whole identity is now hooked to a number, and that's just, it feels so wrong to me. And so yeah, these kids, that their identity becomes attached to a grade, and so they chase the A plus and they chase the A plus. And as a society, sometimes we really celebrate that. And we really celebrate that, and we say like, hoorah. But if we look at what's actually happening, they're becoming experts at obeying orders, and not necessarily, well, at very least, they're not being given the opportunity to practice making their
Right.
own choices, thinking for themselves, right?
For
They still
sure.
might be gifted at that, but they're not practicing it as much as they should be. On the other end of the spectrum, you have kids who become apathetic
Mhm.
about their grades. And so you parents out there, you've seen it in your kids, right? Where they get a C or they get a D. And for them, it just doesn't matter. They've sort of clued into the idea that the metric is made up. And so they're like, well, I didn't want to write that paper anyway. So like you put whatever letter on there that you want. And so they become apathetic. The scary thing about this one is that apathy also attaches to learning,
Right.
because in the mind of a kid, school is synonymous with learning, right? And so all of a sudden they're apathetic about all learning. And that's a scary spot to put our kids in. It's really scary. And then there's in between those two spots where there's kids who wish they were getting A pluses. Their identity is also attached to the A plus, but they're for whatever reason they struggle and they get C's
Mhm.
and B's. And so these are our kids who struggle with self-esteem, who they just feel like they're not good enough.
Yeah.
So this is really difficult, right? There's a lot of negative outcomes and a lot of things that we're putting our kids in tough spots, in tough positions with this. And
Totally.
so what I would propose is that we need to start even if our kids are in the public school system, we need to start thinking with a different metric. We need to start thinking and looking at learning in a different way. And what we would classify that as a creation metric. And so
Mm.
first of all, we say, okay, we need to help our kids create because they're curious about the world. They're curious about the things that they might be able to create. And then very naturally, they'll level up to creating because it benefits themselves as a person.
Mm.
And then over time, they'll begin creating because it benefits those around them. And so they'll level up that new metric, that new way of looking at learning. And very naturally, right, kids will start creating things again out of curiosity and then for themselves and the world around them. And the best people, the most employable people or entrepreneurs are people that know how to solve problems and create value for other people. So we would
Totally.
start to direct that focus, say, okay, even if you're stuck in a system that's using a flawed metric, let's start thinking about the world with a new metric so that you can help your kids break out of that flawed system.
Absolutely. And so, regardless of whatever you're doing, whether it's public school, charter, private, homeschool, unschooling, this is what's so cool is it can just be added in. So where you might have had a lot of pros in your current system that you're running, maybe some cons, this buffers everything out where it's like now even if our child is maybe struggling in public but that's really what our family needs to do at this time, we can add in the creativity club and all of a sudden our child becomes sparked. I mean, there's so many hours after school, or if we're doing homeschool but we're looking for a little bit more structure, a little bit of excitement somewhere else, add this in. Oh, I love it.
Yes. Yes. Our creativity club, we're so excited about it. So, what we do is we get kids involved with weekly challenges. And so, while they're carrying out this challenge, and maybe I should take a step back because
Yeah.
when you sign up for the creativity club, first of all, we send you a big old supply box. And the
Love that.
supply box has materials and activities that you need for the next 3 months. And so every week, those kids get to open up the challenge of the week and they are set out on a challenge, on a quest with kids across the country to accomplish a different challenge. And so what they see is online, Susie from Nebraska and Charlie from Utah are posting their accomplishments within the challenge. And so they're able to, set their wheels on fire and say, okay, I can create something that awesome too. And
Can we
so,
pause real quick? Because you
yes,
have something super unique, Travis, and I don't even think you realize how unique it is. Having been a mom of kids and looking into programs where they do have an online component where it's a community, you know what I mean? I've been in many, and I'll be honest, I am not thrilled by the other ones that are out there. They're not safe. They are, I mean,
mm,
sure, maybe they're kids, but you know what? Kids are kids, and they are not monitored very well. And so, what I love about your community is I know you and I know Catherine, and I know the things that you create. And I would put my kids in that community any day of the week and know with full confidence that like you guys are caring for those kiddos, that you truly want to make sure that there's a safe place for them. I think that's so crucial for everybody.
yeah.
They don't exist out there and you don't know how an amazing job that you're doing by creating that for people.
Yeah, and I'm so grateful you mentioned it. We go through so much care to keep the kids safe. That is
Yep.
seriously our number one priority. And a lot of parents will choose to post into the group in lieu of their kids, which we
Yeah.
totally support. We're all
Mhm.
about that. Not a problem at all. But yeah,
Yeah.
nobody touches our group unless their kids are participating in the program.
Yep.
So we really keep that on a lockdown. I'm really happy you brought that up.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah, and so what we see with this creativity group is, so we get them on this process where every week they are exploring this new idea of creating value in the world, and we invite them to participate in our process, which invites them to check in and create plans, to gather their resources, and then to act and test and act and test. And so they're prototyping and they're experimenting, they're creating, and while that's all that's happening, they're able to see what other kids are doing and creating. And then they're able to grow and adapt. And so every single week they get new challenges and are able to create in different ways. And one of my favorite parts about this is what parents are able to do, along with myself, is we're able to sit back and watch our kids, because your kids might turn out to be architects. Maybe they love creating things with their hands. Maybe they're videographers. Maybe they love to capture a story, right? Like, there's so many different ways that we can create. And the fun part about this is you get to sit back and watch what type of creator your kids are and
Ah,
what they're going to fall in love with. And so that allows you then to say, okay, I need to funnel my energy and help them spend more time in this new
mhm.
passion that we found.
Which, you know what, those kids may not have even discovered until maybe a college class if they were lucky enough to have chosen that for themselves. But it's in the process of being able to do things, but also there's accountability with it. And so you're just, what should I do? And you're exploring your different things, but getting your kiddos to explore that now is going to save you if you pay for your kids' education, or them if so they don't have to take out student loans tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands later on in college, which is do it now. I mean, the investment right now into your kids' future. This is, if you guys like want to know why I'm a little bit different, it's because just I think different, think different, get different results, right? And if you can just tap into someone else who also thinks different, like Travis, and tap into, he knows that when he puts kiddos in these situations, he unlocks these little elements of creativity that helps them to think different. You'll be setting your kiddos up for future success with a very small, like, getting into this process. I love it.
Yes, absolutely. And it is genuinely so beautiful to see and to observe. I think I am exhibit A of your example of saying, like, why wait until your 20s? I was 24 before I realized that I could do anything with my life and that I
Mm,
could actually do something that I felt passionate about,
right.
which is crazy to me. And so my goal for all of the parents here is let's unlock the passions that your kids have when they're 8 years old, when they're 9 years old, and
Mhm.
let's help them to see the world in a different way so that they know that they're a valuable part in it and that they know that they can create value in it. And I mean, you're going to watch their energy explode and you're going to watch them fall in love with the stuff they create. And so much so that they're going to start inviting you to take part in it with them. They're going to create experiences for the family. It really is just such a beautiful thing to watch.
And I think too, like, we can no longer sit behind, oh, I don't know what to say about that, but we can't just sit by and expect that our kiddos are going to go through education X amount of years, go to college or not go, and get a job that's going to be successful for them for the rest of their life. Like, we can no longer assume any of that. And I think the thing for me is always wanting to make sure that I set my kids up for success so that they can, if they choose to, create income on their own. Like, I need them to at least have a skill set that if they choose to, they can make money. Because how heartbreaking is that? I mean, we go through it as parents ourselves, of losing jobs or of being so miserable in a job that we just want to quit, but we can't, right? We don't want that for our kids, but we have an opportunity now to change that for our kids.
Yes, absolutely. And not only that, of economic recessions and changes in our economy, but the world is changing in big ways. There was a study that came out recently by McKinsey that by the year 2030, between 16 and 54 million jobs are going to be automated. And
Crazy.
so you start to think about, like, oh no, what does that mean for our future, right? If we're producing kids that only know how to receive input and then regurgitate something.
Right.
Computers do that a whole lot better than
Yes.
people do, right? So much better than people
Yeah.
do. And so we need to help our kids get a step up on that curve, because the people who aren't able to problem solve and creative think and innovate and create value for the people around them, it might be a tough future for them, you know? And I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but the world really is changing in that way. And so it's something for us for sure as parents to wake up to and be aware of.
Absolutely. But we don't have to create it all. We don't have to like think up this new plan. We can just plug into Travis's system, the creativity clubs, and just allow our kids to unlock their potential. So let's talk about the creativity club. So what ages is it for?
So we start typically with 8-year-olds, so 8 to 12. For kids who, if we go younger, I like to talk with the parents first. 6 and 7 might be capable, but typically it does require a little bit more attention than 6 and 7-year-olds will typically give. And so typically we go with 8 to 12 years old.
Totally. Okay. 8 to 12, that's awesome. And then remind us real quick, all the things they get.
Yes, absolutely. So first of all, you're going to get the supply box. So everything your child needs to participate in the challenges and to do the activities with you at home, boom, we're going to send it to them. They'll be a part of the online group. When I say they, I mean you as the parents. Next, you will receive Socratic discussion trainings. So what we really like to do is through Socratic methodology, we like to help you give your kids the words to learn and to express themselves and to grow. So we're going to give you some Socratic discussion trainings as well. And they get weekly accountability. And so this is big with the kids sharing, is that accountability piece, that not in a scary way, but in an exciting way, that they get to see what other kids are creating and they get to go for it as well. And so you get all of this, the 12-week experience, and all of it can be yours, you guys. I cannot wait to work with you.
That's awesome. So here's what we're going to do. Now we have something super special for everyone listening on Facebook Live right now. So we have 2 opportunities for you. If you feel like this is something that you would love for your family, and trust me, when you unlock your child's potential, you literally will be having money back in your bank account by the money that they create. I'm just not lying about that. My daughter creating a $1,500 website and selling it. My son gets paid now from our business because of his skills. You are pouring into your children right now the potential for them to just go be out and to really spark their passion, purpose, and joy. So 2 opportunities for you. Number 1, if you want this for your kiddos, I want you to write the word creator in the comments, and I'm going to jump in a DM with you and Travis, and we'll get the conversation started so that you can go ahead and get your kiddos into his creativity clubs. And then secondly, he's put together a really special offer. So if you would like to offer this creativity club to your preschool families, I mean, I guarantee, even if you're teaching a preschooler, they probably have a sibling, right? So if you want to be able to get 35% commission by offering this to your preschool families. You already got your preschool families. They already know and love you. You offer something to them that is going to bless their family. They're going to say, wow, that's amazing. Yes, I do want it. You can get a 35% commission on every single one you sell. I cannot say the word forever, but you can do that. And then for that word, I want you to write affiliate. If you guys want more info about affiliate, or you can write the word 35 if that's easier. Affiliate is kind of one of those weird words. Yeah, either write the word 35 if you want me to jump you into a conversation with Travis so that he can tell you more about how you guys can make 35% affiliate commission. And that's just so cool, is that with that, like, you didn't have to create the program. You didn't have to fulfill the program. You didn't have to teach the classes. All you had to do was connect Travis with a family who has kids that you know would love this, right? And I think every single family would. So if you want to know how to make 35% commission, write the word 35 or affiliate, whichever one you want. And of course, if you want your kiddos to be in his program with the Creativity Club, and guess what? Sarah and Ethan are going to be in there. When does it start, Travis?
So we start, it's a little unique. So our start date is February 8th. We have
Awesome.
a specific start date because remember, we're all doing this in tandem across
Yes.
the country. And so February 8th is the start date, and we'll get you your supply boxes the week before.
Love that. Okay, so go sign up your kiddos too. But to do that, write the word creator in the comments so that you want, or creativity. I think it was creativity. Anyways,
Either way,
doesn't matter. I'm going to see your comments. So write that word in the comments and I'm going to connect you with Travis so we can get our kiddos together. It'll be so fun to be in the community with you, with your kiddos. You're going to be, my kiddos will be sparking off of yours and it's going to be awesome. We can all be in there together and truly teaching our children how to think differently so they can create different results and they can have a even better future than perhaps we've created for ourselves. Imagine that. We've already created a great future for ourselves, but imagine where they can go, right? So either the word 35 if you want 35% commission, or the word creativity or creator if you guys want to have your kiddos join the program. Travis, is there anything else you'd like to say before we go?
I would just love to say, I know that if you are a part of Joy's network and you're here with us tonight, I know that you're people that care deeply about your children and you're people who care deeply about their future. And so genuinely, I just want to say thank you for being the type of people who are investing in your kids because they truly are the future. They're our future. And it will be an absolute pleasure and privilege of mine if you choose to work with me. It is one of my very favorite things on earth to help other people create, whether that's creating products or creating information or creating experiences. And it's such a fun and enjoyable thing for me to be able to do that. And so I cannot wait to work with you, whether that's via the affiliate route or with you and your kids. Let's help them create amazing value in their lives and in the world.
That's awesome. And just so you know, everyone, I don't get a dime of this. I am offering this to you because I love Travis and everything that he puts together. We had a conversation back in February 2020. No, it was fall 2020. And he shared with me just his passion for educating children a different way. And I said, Travis, I don't care what you do in the future. You call me and I'm here for you because like it's similar hearts. You know what I mean? Like when you know that you can just unlock a kid and you can see the difference. It's a beautiful thing. So can't wait for my own kiddos to be in there. Can't wait for your kiddos, everybody who's going to be joining us to be in that creativity club. And you guys are awesome. You have a great night, everyone. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you in the chat.